A 6-ton African elephant just stepped onto Arctic ice. Temperature, -40 degrees Celsius. Wind chill, -60. It has 12 hours to live, not days, not weeks. 12 hours. I tracked every biological system as the largest land mammal on Earth faces the coldest environment on the planet. What kills it first? The answer will surprise you. This is Habitat X. To understand how this elephant dies, we need to understand what makes it built for heat, not cold. The African savanna elephant evolved in sub-Saharan Africa. Temperatures averaging 30 degrees Celsius, heat, drought, sun. To survive that, evolution built a cooling machine, massive ears, not for hearing, for heat dissipation. The ears contain a network of blood vessels just 2 millimeters below the surface. When blood flows through these vessels and the elephant flaps its ears, heat radiates into the air. In the African heat, the ears can dump 12 liters of blood per minute through cooling cycles. It is a biological radiator. Thin skin, only 2.5 centimeters thick on most of the body, thinner than a polar bear's fat layer. This allows heat to escape through the entire body surface. No fur, no insulation. Just bare skin optimized for maximum heat loss. A trunk that sprays water and mud for evaporative cooling. Every single adaptation is designed to prevent overheating in 35-degree African sun. In the Arctic, every one of these adaptations becomes a pathway to death. Hour 1. 8 a.m. Arctic temperature, -40 degrees Celsius. The elephant takes its first steps on frozen tundra. The thermodynamic crisis begins immediately. A 6-ton elephant generates approximately 60,000 kilojoules of metabolic heat per day just to maintain basic functions. That is enough energy to heat a small house. In the African savanna, this is a problem. The elephant must constantly dump this heat to avoid overheating. In the Arctic, this heat is the only thing keeping it alive. But here is the fatal equation. Heat loss in extreme cold follows Newton's law of cooling. The rate of heat loss is proportional to the temperature difference between the body and the environment. Body temperature, 36 degrees Celsius. Environment, -40 degrees Celsius. Temperature gradient, 76 degrees. This is the largest thermal gradient the elephant's biology has ever faced. The ears are the first system to fail. Those massive ears with their thin skin and dense blood vessel networks. In the Arctic, they become heat sinks. Every second, cold blood returns from the ears directly to the core. The heart pumps warm blood out to the ears. The ears radiate heat into -40-degree air. Cold blood returns. The elephant is bleeding heat through its own cooling system. Within 30 minutes, the tips of the ears begin to freeze. Frostbite at the cellular level. Ice crystals form inside the cells. The cell membranes rupture. Tissue dies. The ears are designed to lose heat at 12 liters of blood per minute. At -40 degrees, they are losing it at 18 liters per minute. The elephant cannot shut this system down. There is no biological mechanism to stop blood flow to the ears in cold conditions. Evolution never prepared for this. But the ears are just the beginning. Something far more critical is already failing. Hour 2. 9 a.m. Core temperature dropping. Normal elephant core temperature, 36 degrees Celsius. Current core temperature, 35.1 degrees. The elephant has lost 0.9 degrees in 60 minutes. Mild hypothermia begins at 35 degrees. The elephant just crossed the threshold. The trunk is the second system to collapse. An elephant's trunk contains over 40,000 individual muscles. No bones, just muscle and connective tissue. These muscles require constant blood flow to function. Blood flow means heat delivery. In the Arctic, the trunk is a 2-meter-long tube of tissue exposed to -40-degree air. The extremities always fail first in hypothermia. Fingers, toes, noses. The trunk is all three. By hour 2, the muscles at the tip of the trunk are entering cold-induced paralysis. Muscle tissue stops responding below 20 degrees Celsius. The trunk tip is now at 12 degrees. The elephant can no longer grip, can no longer manipulate objects, can no longer feed itself. In the savannah, an elephant without a functional trunk dies within weeks of starvation. In the Arctic, the trunk failure is just a preview of what is coming for every other system. Hour 3, 10 a.m. Temperature, minus 42 degrees Celsius. Wind speed increasing to 60 kilometers per hour. Wind chill, minus 60 degrees Celsius. Core temperature, 34.2 degrees. Moderate hypothermia threshold, 32 degrees. The elephant is losing 0.8 degrees per hour. At this rate, it will reach 32 degrees in 3 hours. But the rate is about to accelerate, because the elephant is about to make a fatal mistake: shivering. The elephant begins to shiver. Shivering is the mammalian emergency response to cold. Rapid, involuntary muscle contractions generate heat through friction. In humans, shivering can increase heat production by 500%. In small mammals, it is a survival mechanism that works, but the African elephant is not a small mammal. It is a 6-ton animal with thin skin and no insulation layer. Shivering generates heat, but that heat radiates through the thin skin into the Arctic air almost as fast as it is produced. The elephant is burning calories to generate heat it cannot retain. Worse, shivering increases metabolic demand by 400%. The elephant now needs more oxygen. The heart rate spikes from 30 beats per minute to 48. More cardiac output means more blood pumped to the extremities. More blood to the extremities means more heat lost through the ears, the trunk, the legs, and the massive surface area of thin skin. The elephant is accelerating its own death. Hour 4, 11 a.m. Core temperature, 33.1 degrees Celsius. The cardiac crisis begins. At 33 degrees, the electrical system of the heart begins to malfunction. The heart is controlled by electrical signals from the sinoatrial node. These signals must fire in precise rhythm to coordinate the contraction of the heart chambers. Cold slows electrical conduction. At 33 degrees, the signals between the atria and ventricles begin to desynchronize. The elephant's heart rhythm is becoming irregular. Heartbeat at hour 1, 30 beats per minute. Heartbeat at hour 4, 52 beats per minute, irregular. The heart is working overtime to try to circulate blood and generate warmth. But the irregularity means the heart is pumping less efficiently. Less efficiency means less blood delivered to the core organs, the kidneys, the liver, the brain. All are now receiving 30% less oxygenated blood than normal. Hour 5, 12 p.m. Core temperature, 32.4 degrees Celsius. Severe hypothermia, the point of no return. Below 32 degrees, the body enters a state where internal heat generation can no longer match heat loss. Even if the elephant were moved to a warm environment now, its core temperature would continue to drop for another 30 to 60 minutes. This is called afterdrop. The elephant is biologically committed to death. The brain is shutting down. Cognitive function requires precise neural activity. Neurons fire through electrochemical signals. Cold slows everything. At 32 degrees, the elephant's brain activity has slowed by 40%. The elephant is no longer responding to stimuli correctly. It stands motionless, confused, disoriented. It is not choosing to stop moving. Its brain can no longer process the environment. This is not exhaustion. This is neurological shutdown. Hour 6, 1 p.m. Core temperature, 31.1 degrees Celsius. The legs fail. The elephant collapses onto the ice. This is not a choice. The muscles in the legs have reached critical temperature. Muscle contraction is an enzymatic process. Enzymes function within a specific temperature range. Below 30 degrees, the enzymes in muscle tissue stop functioning. The elephant's leg muscles are at 28 degrees. They can no longer generate the force needed to support 6 tons of body weight. The elephant falls. Direct contact with the ice accelerates heat loss by 300%. Snow and ice conduct heat away from the body 25 times faster than air. The elephant is now lying on a surface at minus 45 degrees Celsius. Every point of contact is a heat drain. Hour 7, 2 p.m. Core temperature, 29.8 degrees Celsius. The respiratory system is failing. Breathing rate at hour 1, 6 breaths per minute. Breathing rate at hour 7. 3 breaths per minute. The diaphragm muscles are cold. They are contracting weakly, inefficiently. Each breath is bringing in less oxygen. The blood oxygen saturation is dropping. Normal, 98%. Current, 76%. The organs are suffocating. Hour 8, 3 p.m. Core temperature, 28.1 degrees Celsius. Multiple organ failure. Kidneys, shut down. No longer filtering blood. Liver, failure. Toxins accumulating. Heart, 20 beats per minute. Severe arrhythmia. Brain, minimal activity. Lungs, 2 breaths per minute. The elephant is in the final stage of severe hypothermia. Paradoxical undressing would occur in a human at this point. A false sensation of warmth as the brain misfires. But the elephant cannot undress. It can only lie on the ice as its core temperature continues to fall. Hour 9, 4 p.m. Core temperature, 26.9 degrees Celsius. Cardiac arrest. At 28 degrees, the heart typically enters ventricular fibrillation. At 26 degrees, it stops entirely. The electrical signals cease. The heart muscle, now too cold to contract, stops pumping. Blood stops circulating. Oxygen delivery to the brain drops to 0 within 30 seconds. Brain death within 4 minutes. A 6-ton African elephant, a species that has survived for 6 million years, that has crossed deserts, that has endured droughts, that has outlasted ice ages by staying in warm refuges, dead in 9 hours on Arctic ice, not from starvation, not from predators, from thermodynamics. After analyzing heat loss equations, cardiovascular stress in extreme cold, frostbite progression, hypothermic organ failure, and the limitations of mammalian thermoregulation, the verdict is clear. Can an African elephant survive the Arctic? No. The elephant evolved as a heat-dumping machine. Every adaptation to survive African heat becomes a fatal liability in Arctic cold. The massive ears radiate heat uncontrollably. The thin skin offers no insulation. The lack of fur leaves the body exposed. The enormous body mass generates metabolic heat, but the surface area to volume ratio ensures that heat escapes faster than it can be replaced. Evolution does not build generalists, it builds specialists. The African elephant is the perfect answer to one question. How do you survive equatorial heat? The Arctic is a different question entirely, and biology does not translate. The elephant on ice, the penguin in the desert, the orca in the river, the polar bear in the jungle. Every simulation confirms the same truth. Adaptation is survival in one environment and death in all others. Which animal should face an impossible habitat next? Write in the comments. The animal, the impossible habitat, and why you think it would survive or die. The most upvoted comment becomes the next episode. Subscribe. The next extreme simulation is coming. This is Habitat X, where geography is just a suggestion, and biology is our testing ground.